Iowa's News Now Sports brings you black and gold glory. Your all-access pass to all things Hawkeyes. This is Eye on the Hawks.
I think guys know how important this game is, and we're preparing for it.
This is like a lot of the fans' Super Bowl.
I've heard just plenty of middle finger stories, honestly. So I'm pretty excited to get into that environment.
It's probably my favorite game of the year,
It means a lot being an in-the-state kid. Obviously, you grew up watching this game.
I love all rivalry games, but I think it's so huge for the state.
It's going to be pretty toxic environment, but, it's going to be loud, and, you live for that.
It's going to be huge. I mean, hopefully we can keep the Cyhawk names.
Iowa and Iowa State are playing. Everyone's talking about it.
It's a pretty nice place to play. It's not like there's 8-year-olds hanging over the fence giving you the rude finger or anything like that. So, yeah, excited to go back there and enjoy such a pleasant environment.
Won't someone please think of the children? Welcome to Eye on the Hawks. That was just a small sampling of the energy going into the Cyhawk Week. Our guest for the show in week 2. In the blue corner, former Cedar Rapids, Washington grad and former Hawkeye Andre Dawson. And wearing the red trunks, a Kennedy grad, a former Cyclone tight end, and the head coach at Cedar Rapids Prairie, Kyle Knock, with us as we'll break down the State of Iowa Super Bowl. Thanks for joining us this week, gentlemen. There's a lot of ground to cover today, so let's get right into it. Both Iowa and Iowa State took care of business in their season openers. Andre, I know you were there at Kinnick for Iowa's win over Utah State. What was your assessment of their performance in week 1?
I think we had an excellent time. It was, a lot of fun. I think everybody, was kind of cooking down there, but getting a chance to watch Iowa, really explode out in those first few series, getting up on that 14-0 lead. Kay did a good job coming out and showing the University of Iowa people what he has in store for us this year. Absolutely.
Now, Kyle, we're off to a bad start here. Your Cyclones beat my alma mater at the University of Northern Iowa. Was that a fluke, or are the Cyclones a team to be feared this fall?
I think what you saw is they handled themselves well on defense. I just thought it was kind of a boring, blah, not show a whole lot, but get the job done kind of day for Coach Campbell. And I'm interested to see how it all turns out this weekend.
Well, there's so much hype that surrounds this game. Putting yourself back in the shoes of these players, how much excitement is there for this Cyhawk Week, both at Iowa and Iowa State? Kyle?
It's the one game on the schedule where, the outside forces come into play, because you don't want to be the laughing stock for the next 12 months, or you don't want to be the little brother for the next 12 months. And so It was more of a don't let down the fan base type of thing when I played.
I find it funny that players, when they come to the University of Iowa or they go to the University of Iowa State, I don't think they really understand the magnitude of this game. It's something that we cherish. It is our Super Bowl, and it's always good to get a chance to play a little brother, and I'm hoping we get that trophy back this year.
There's no shortage of history between the squads. This year is their 70th meeting. Iowa's won 2/3 of the games in the all-time series, 46-23 all-time. The Hawkeyes have also won 6 out of the last 7. But that coveted trophy currently resides in Ames after a wet and wild win for the Cyclones at Kinnick last fall. But there could be history made this weekend. A Hawkeye win would give Kirk Ferentz his 200th overall win as a head coach between his time here in Iowa City and 3 seasons at Maine. A benchmark that Kirk, of course, shrugs off, but his players would love to get him that 200th win at Jack Trice.
That is just an unbelievable feat that a head coach can reach. And, we definitely try to play our best for Coach Ferentz, and I didn't even know that. That's insane.
He's a really great coach. I think he's one of the best in the country. I'd do anything for that man. I'm grateful for the opportunity that he gave me to be able to come here, and I just want to go out there and every Saturday and give it my all for him.
The only reason I know is because somebody reminds me of it, not frequently, but occasionally, and it's just like right now, all I know is we're 1-0, and that's nice. It's the best we could be, but we got a lot of work in front of us. That's what I know.
Now, Andre, let's start with you. You played for Captain Kirk, of course. I know that getting a milestone win like that at home would be big, but how much would those guys like to get that victory at Jack Trice on Iowa State's home field?
I will say, playing with Coach, it's all about respect, and respect is the biggest thing that you can have, and him demanding that respect and deserving that respect. We don't really talk about that. We know that's something that's on the horizon, but that's not an individual goal.
At the end of the day, there's a true respect between Iowa and Iowa State players and coaches for their opponent. I've always had a lot of respect for Coach Ferentz. Iowa State's they're preparing because they know Iowa's got a good football team, And regardless of if it's 200 or 199, they're going to try to knock them out on Saturday.
Well, Hawkeye quarterback Cade McNamara now has his first Iowa start under his belt, but he's no stranger to rivalry games. Well, at Michigan, he played against Ohio State and Wisconsin, and another in-state rivalry, losing to Michigan State in 2021. Playing in a hostile environment, that's nothing new for Cade.
I just remember it being just an awesome game. We came up a little short, but to be honest, I loved playing in that game. I love playing in rivalry games, and I just can't wait to experience, the Cy-Hawk rivalry for the first time.
Now, this is a unique situation where both squads are stepping in with first-year quarterbacks between Cade McNamara and Rocco Becht. What's going to be a factor for these guys on Saturday? Is that going to be a factor, the fact that they're both a little bit new to the starting lineup for these teams? Andre?
I don't think so. I mean, if you're a game time player and you're a game changer, I don't think that really matters.
Kyle Rocco really got thrown into this role just within the last month or so with everything that went on there at Iowa State with Hunter Deckers having to leave the team. What'd you see out of him in week one? Do you feel like that gives a lot of Iowa State fans comfort in what he can bring this week?
I think what Rocco brought is kind of a Brock Purdy-esque start. He's going to manage the game. He's not going to turn the ball over. He's athletic enough to make a play with his feet when he has to. But if he can manage the game, I think he'll be all right.
Already big shoes to compare him to, saying Brock Purdy-esque possibly. Well, just to wrap up this first part of the show, I'd like to hear from both of you guys as fans of the programs right now. What concerns you most about your opponent on Saturday, about the team you're playing against? Andre?
I think that they're going to be prepared. They're going to be ready, and then also just being at Jack Trice Stadium, that atmosphere is going to be something that we'll have to look out for.
Yeah. How about for the Hawkeyes? For you, Kyle, what concerns you most about
I think
them?
their front seven on defense. Obviously, Iowa's known for their great defense all the time. If they can get pressure on Rocco Becht, I think Iowa State's going to struggle a little bit. But it's going to be a battle in the trenches on both sides of the ball.
I just think it's a great environment. I'm excited to go to Ames and play.
That's the pride of Ames High School, Joe Evans. His final Cy-Hawk game will be played in his hometown. After the break, we'll hear from Joe on some of his memories from playing at Jack Trice in a Hawkeye uniform. That's next on Eye on the Hawks.
I love all rivalry games, but I think it's so huge for the state. Iowa and Iowa State are playing, everyone's talking about it, so I feel like there's a magnitude there, and just really excited to get to Ames.
It's been a well-documented story. Joe Evans grew up basically within eyesight of Jack Trice Stadium, but he chose to walk on at Iowa. Now he's one of the team captains, and he's had some rude welcome home receptions over his time in the black and gold.
Going into the game in 2021, I told myself I'm not going to look at any fans. Like, obviously, they know I'm from Ames. A group of guys were yelling Joe, like Joe, Joe, like they're like 3, 2, 1, Joe. So I'm like, these have to be like my buddies, right, from high school. Looking around, definitely was not my buddies, but they definitely let me have it.
The intensity is there, no getting around that. It spreads from the Iowans to the transfers to the Aussies even. Mitch Fick has more from one of college football's most heated annual showdowns.
For me, and I think for a lot of guys, it's not a whole lot different other than, the environment that we're about to go into.
Kyler Fisher may be slightly underselling the attitude ahead of Saturday's Cy-Hawk game. Kirk Ferentz says he knows how important this game is to the entire community in the state of Iowa. Other players say they've heard everything from ignoring texts to questioning who is raising these Cyclone youths.
You don't want to lose those guys. You just don't, and I'm sure they feel the same way. And Bear Bryant used to say it. He talked about guys having to go home and they go to the pharmacy and they got to answer why they lost to Auburn. And Alabama would have to answer that.
I've heard just plenty of middle finger stories, honestly. So I'm pretty excited to get in that environment.
I'm old enough and I can take it, but I was looking around going, some of these guys are pretty young.
Sure.
And I just found it really interesting. There's like 9 or 10-year-old kids swearing and things like that over the fence, and it just makes you think, it's like, who are these guys' parents, you know what I mean? Because I know if that was my little brother saying it, my mum would go crazy, same with my dad.
It's going to be pretty toxic environment, but, it's going to be loud, and, you live for that, so it's going to be fun.
Seth Anderson was also asked about what he saw from Iowa State's defense on film. He said a lot of opportunities, so I asked in what way. He just answered in a good way. From a Hawkeye team that only scored 1 touchdown against ISU at Kinnick in 2022, we'll see what that means for the Iowa offense in 2023. In Iowa City, Mitch Fick for Eye on the Hawks.
Kyle, I'm going to start with you. How is this game different than the others on the schedule? Or are you like Kyler Fisher, who says that this game isn't any different than the others?
It's different, and those that don't think it is, they're crazy. 21 years later, after playing my last Iowa State game, I still get up for this week because I know I got coworkers and friends and that I got to listen to for the next however many months if they don't get the job done.
I think so, and I'd like to just take a second to say, for Joe Evans, even though he is going back to his home, his hometown, I hope that the fans understand that this man walked on, he earned a scholarship, he became a captain, and I think you should honor that. I think you should cheer for that. So if you are going to, boo because of, he plays for Iowa, not because of what he's done.
And he's a guy who next year might even be playing on Sundays, and hopefully Ames would embrace him as a hometown kid after.
Then it changes a little bit.
Yeah.
now you can cheer for
Now
him.
you like him a little bit more.
They have a good, solid defense. They're disciplined in what they do, and we're going to go into this week prepared, and every day we're going to get better.
Rocco Beck knows there's some challenges facing him as the Hawkeyes come to Jack Trice after the break. Curtis Fader gives us the strengths of this Iowa State team and how they plan on keeping that Cy-Hawk trophy in Ames. That's next on Eye on the Hawks. 2011-2012 were the last times that Iowa lost 2 straight games to the Cyclones, and the Cardinal and Gold get another win at Jack Trice Stadium. Here's Curtis Fader on the keys to Cy-Hawk glory once again in 2023.
Iowa State is quite the familiar foe for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and this 2023 edition of the Cyclones looks well prepared to defend their Cy-Hawk trophy after they won it last year for the first time since 2014. The shadows of doubt of the Cyclones offense after some key pieces left the program are now overshadowed by the talented youth filling in, most notably Rocco Beck. He's the son of current XFL head coach Anthony Beck, who played 11 years in the NFL as a tight end and is the first Iowa State quarterback with 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown since Sage Rosenfels in 1999. Even against an esteemed Hawkeye defense, he and his young weapons feel aptly prepared for them come Saturday.
They've been, insanely good for the past 20 years. They have a good, solid defense. They're disciplined in what they do, and we're going to go into this week prepared, and every day we're going to get better.
The Cyclone defense is feeling just as ready as well. They have the current Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week, Jeremiah Cooper, on their side, and also have the longest streak of allowing less than 400 total yards in the nation, just 1 game ahead of Iowa's defense at 16.
Obviously a little bit different offense now with Cade coming in and stuff, but they've kind of ran most of the same stuff for the last couple of years, so just looking at all the film, getting all their tendencies down, I think that's just going to be big for us.
It seemed the offense a little bit more comfortable. Still doing a lot of the same things, just running a little better. And we're looking at it like they're the best team ever.
Maybe something a little new for the Cy-Hawk game, a genuine debate over special teams. Tyler Perkins averaged 53.6 yards per punt in week 1, including his 70-yard bomb that was the longest punt for the Cyclones since 2010. And kicker Chase Contreras is fresh off of drilling the longest field goal in Matt Campbell's tenure as ISU head coach with a 56-yard bomb against UNI.
I think the myth is that we've not been good on special teams, which is a farce. When we've had great specialists, we've been really good. I think you look at it and you say, man, we're a lot better with our wisdom and our age. And when we've had Mevis and we've had all those guys, we've been really good.
While this is the first Cy-Hawk game with neither team ranked in the top 25 since 2018, I'd still expect Jack Trice Stadium to be as loud and intense as ever when these two teams clash this Saturday at 2:30. Reporting in Ames, I'm Curtis Fader, Iowa's News Now Sports.
All eyes on Ames this Saturday. Kyle and Andre, you're both native Iowans, both went to high school right here in Cedar Rapids. I just want to hear your favorite memory from the Cy-Hawk series, either as a player or could be as a fan as well. Andre, let's hear from you.
I would say during my tenure at the University of Iowa, getting to run across and grab that trophy. I would say that's one of the greatest memories I've had, and then obviously just being a part of the Super Bowl, being a part of the festivities, and being a part of that rivalry.
Senior year, 2002, we were down 24-7 at halftime in Kinnick, and we just found a way to get it done again. And the thing that I'll always walk away with is I never lost to them. Five games, but just those memories of the trophy, running over, getting the trophy. you never forget that stuff.
More to come on Eye on the Hawks. We predict the final score of the Iowa State game, and a very famous visitor will be one of the 60,000 strong on Saturday. That's next on Eye on the Hawks.
Is going to be at the game in Ames on Saturday. I just got the email for it.
Great. There's going to be about 60,000 people too, so that's great. That's great. I mean, it's election year in Iowa.
Well, if you couldn't quite hear it, Donald Trump will reportedly be at the game on Saturday. That's kind of a unique element, having a former president in the stadium. Assuming neither of you two played in front of a president, or maybe you have, I don't know, you can tell me, who is the most famous person that you remember playing in front of in person? Any idea, Andre?
Honestly, the most famous person is whoever you think is famous or whoever you cherish the most. To me, the most famous person I ever played in front of was my mom. She's a decorated war veteran. She's a United Way Volunteer of the Year. She's my hero, so that's the most famous person I played in front of.
Some of the guys that are actually on the field, like Dallas Clark and Bob Sanders and Seneca Wallace and Sage Rosenfels, and guys that went on to have long NFL careers, and they were probably the biggest superstars in the moment.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that actually, because you played with a couple of quarterbacks who went on to play in the NFL. Were you there for the play, for Seneca's the play?
I was on the field for the play, and I was wide open in the back of the end zone, and I'm waving my arms, and he just kept running and dodging and ducking and everything else, and it was quite the moment.
Yeah. At some point, did you sit back and watch him on that play and think like, oh, boy, this Seneca guy's pretty good, or were you just trying to get his attention?
There was moments where you would tell him, like, you're the man. Like, what you just did is unbelievable.
See if we can pick up that Wingstop sponsorship for the show.
Yeah.
Well, before we finally wrap it up, guys, we're going to pick some winners for Week 1. Got 3 games, all Big Ten West. Another one against a Big 12 opponent. Illinois just barely beat Toledo at home last week, traveling now to play the Jayhawks. Kansas is a 3-point favorite in this one. Who do you guys think in this one? Andre?
I'm going to go with Illinois. The coach gave me a shot when I was a sophomore. He gave me an offer when he was at Wisconsin, so I'm always going to stick with coach. I'm going to go Illinois.
All right.
I got to go Kansas in Lawrence. I remember going there and there'd be 1,500 people in the stands, and now they get it rocking pretty good in there.
Yeah, I might have to stick with Kyle on this one. I mean, Illinois, I thought they were going to be great coming into this year. Looked a little bit rocky against Toledo in Week 1, and Kansas seems to have that thing moving in the right direction down there, so I'll pick KU in this one. The next one airs on Fox 28, big noon kickoff. Coach Prime and the Buffs, they upset TCU on the road in Week 1, hosting Matt Rule and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. What do you guys think? Kyle?
I got Coach Prime by 1,000,000. I mean, he's got those kids believing whatever he's selling.
Listen, Coach, you won't have to check your paperwork and ask me if I believe. I believe. I'm right along there with you. I'm all Colorado.
No receipts to be checked here for Andre Dawson. Well, finally, it's a Cy-Hawk game, also airing on Fox 28 Saturday after that Colorado-Nebraska game. I know who you're going to pick to win, but let's hear a final score from you both. Andre, you first.
24-14 Iowa.
I'm going to go 24-21 Iowa State.
All
I
right.
think there'll be a little bit more scoring than people give them credit for.
Yeah, well, I'm doing this show in Eastern Iowa, so I better pick the Hawkeyes to win this one. Truthfully, I think that Iowa could really spark something big this week. I think they held back a little bit last week, as did Iowa State, but Cade McNamara could really have this be his breakout week. I could see something like, 31-7, something like that. I would win this game. So, well, that does it for Week 2 of Eye on the Hawks. Scan the QR code that you see on your screen to download, subscribe, and listen to the Eye on the Hawks podcast. We've got a Cy-Hawk preview episode out right now. Also, we're going to upload the extended version of the show that you're watching at the moment with both Andre and Kyle. It's available wherever you find your podcasts. Every week, we're going to be doing a live stream on YouTube reacting to the Iowa game. This week, we're aiming to start at noon on Sunday. You can follow along at Iowa's News Now on YouTube. We'll send out the link from our Eye on the Hawks Twitter account. And for both of you guys, Andre, Kyle, old friends who coached/played against each other back in the day at Kennedy and Wash, I want to thank you guys both for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Eye on the Hawks.